Welcome to this Tuesday edition of the Chiefs, and of course, with us tonight are Luigi Bautista, the head of News 5. Hi, bossing. And Robbie Lampan of One News from Reliance Street in Mandaluyong. Hi, Robbie.
Hello. Good evening.
What's the big story today?
Yung sa NBI.
Well, the first vaccine.
Yung una,
yung head ng
counter-terrorism na baril doon mismo sa loob ng NBI offices. So NBI, the entire campus is on lockdown right now. They're looking into that. But to your point, Luchi, big story, of course, first administration of the vaccine outside of trial. So official, it's a 90-year-old woman in the UK at ang nagturok.
Administered by a Filipina nurse. Yay! May participation.
But really,
looking talaga for a ray of hope somewhere. Talaga maybe.
Hindi, pero historic naman talaga, di ba? And you could, I mean, I hope we could somehow reach out to her. I'm curious, paano yung process nun, di ba? Paano yung pilihan? Alam mo naman na may gagambanan kang makasaysayan dyan.
But actually, what to me is more fascinating is we're talking about a patient who's 90 years old.
90.
Inuna nila mga elderly.
That I suppose is unusual in the sense that there were still a lot of questions as to whether there are side effects of the vaccine.
Is that a measure of their confidence in safety of the drug, of the vaccine?
61 years old, you're injecting it to
the
queen
old. And the queen herself, diba, is lined up to actually be the first to be vaccinated, one of the first. Oh, so, I mean, she's 94 years old, When you think about it, diba? Ganon sila kakampante. So, Robbie, huwag ka na matakot.
Wala, hindi ako natatakot. Pinapauna ko lang yung dapat mauna.
But to be fair naman...
Ladies first!
To be fair to the Russians, this is not the first vaccine that has been approved to be applied to any patient. The Russians have been doing that since August.
Oh yeah,
yes,
they have their own standard.
Yung context dito is the trial. This is the first.
To the Russians, it's not a trial vaccine anymore. They approved it in August pa.
Ganun ba yun?
Ganun ba?
Yeah, the ministry approved it as early as August. Even though they were still undergoing third clinical trial phase, but it was already approved. Dalawa na yung vaccines na na-approve since October yung Corona and yung Sputnik. Yes.
Sputnik.
Remember, Russia approved it as early as August.
Sabihin na lang natin na kakaiba ang Russia. Okay.
There you go. Granted.
Actually, we asked that a few episodes ago. We didn't really get, not a straight answer, but we didn't get a definitive answer because the health officials were being very careful about it. But even among countries, diba, ini-explain ni Yusek Vergere, even among countries, iba-iba yung pag-acknowledge ng WHO on the stringency of trials of different countries. The UK and the United States are on the highest tier. When we asked about Russia and China, medyo sabi nila hindi namin alam. Hindi namin alam Hindi ako sigurado kung nasa na Russia at saka China.
Pero ayaw niyang magpapinda.
Or baka naman walang tiwala. I mean, kuminsan ganun din yun. Ayaw lang sabihin, di ba? Diplomatic.
Hindi na nga sinasabi
in diplomatic language. Hindi naman ako diplomat
But they've been administering their vaccines on hundreds of thousands of people for the past so many months.
Yes,
and we're not talking about tens of people, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people.
And to be fair to them, wala pa naman tayong naririnig na, alam mo yun, side effects na out of expectation.
For any number of reasons.
Ikaw ang malisyoso.
Sabi ko lang, there could be any number of reasons, diba? I didn't say
At saka hindi Pilipino nag-administer nun, Hindi Pilipino.
Malaking bagay yun. Malaking bagay yun.
Walang TLC. Okay.
Yeah. Ay, teka, before we forget, of course, still top of mind dun sa mga developments, yung nangyayari with the RFID cashless system. And yung nangyayari sa Valenzuela. So that will be our first topic for tonight. With our first guest for tonight.
Day 2 of the suspension in
of
Valenzuela.
the business license.
Yes.
Yes. So joining us tonight is NLEX Corporation President Luigi Bautista. Sir, good evening and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, sir.
Hi.
Good evening, sir.
Yes,
Good
sir.
evening, Ed, and good evening, Roby. Thank you for having me.
Thank you po for joining us tonight. Well, sir, as you of course know, ilang araw na pong, actually ilang araw, ilang linggo na pong napag-uusapan itong nangyayari with the RFIDs, in fact with both systems of the Metro Pacific system and yung Sandigan system. Pero po, we do want to get down to the main reasons for the problems occurring dun po sa RFID system. Has NLEX po so far isolated the main issues that are causing congestion dun po sa expressways?
Well, the complaints relate to two things, no, and I believe the two things are the RFID program, and secondly, traffic congestion, which is somehow related also to the implementation of RFID program. That's the
I'm sorry, sir. I think we got cut for a bit there. You were saying one issue is the program and the other one is the traffic congestion.
Yeah, we're looking now at two things, and I believe the two things are the RFID program itself, the cashless toll transaction, and number two is the traffic congestion at the toll plaza, which I believe is also related to the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What I mean po is, have you been able to isolate kung ano po yung reasons kung bakit po nagkakaroon nga ng congestion dun sa second part po ng inyong binanggit?
Yeah, we acknowledge that there are problems due to the birthing pains that we are experiencing in the implementation of the order to go 100% cashless. And, we communicated this to the proper authorities. And in fact, yesterday we wrote a letter, and the action plans are contained in the letter. The action plans are already being implemented, and we'll be implementing also other additional improvements in the days to come.
Can you give us some specifics on those on that action plan?
Yeah, we actually are continuing to improve the system, and we observe a good number of issues. But let me talk about two main issues at this point now. One is the unreadable stickers,
Okay.
and the other one is the insufficient balances in the stickers. So here, on the first one, I refer to issues related to defective stickers. And examples of this are worn out stickers, improperly installed stickers. There are also stickers that are experiencing interference, when they pass through the lanes. And this is related to metallic tints, yung dark tints, and metal, stickers that are attached close to metal surfaces. Right. And in these cases, Luigi, Ed, and Roby, are ranging from 0.5% to about 3.7% in different toll plazas. And this is expected as part of the implementation growing pains, And system-wide, these incidents account for an average of 2% based on recent data covering all plaza. So for unreadable stickers, what we have done is we intensified our sticker replacement program for motorists who have defective or improperly installed RFIDs. And we're also doing call-outs to them, to individual customers. And of course, we have regular preventive and corrective measures, which is done, 24 hours.
Mr. Bautista, yes, go on. What about
the second one?
Yes, the load.
Well, the second one is insufficient balances.
Right.
And I refer you to some customers whose accounts have been this accounts to about 21% system-wide. No? But you know, there are plazas where the incident of this issue is as high as 30%. And there's even one plaza that has a rate of 42%, meaning 30% or 42% do not have loads. So you can imagine you cannot go through the lanes because they have insufficient loads. And this by constantly communicating to the customer by the email and on top of the usual communication and education campaign that we are doing. And some customers complain about how do they reload and so on. So we are working closely with our merchant partners for reloading, 7-Eleven, TouchPay, Smart Money, EasyPay, PayMaya, GCash, and the banks as well.
Yes.
So that's
Okay.
Sir,
Okay.
one in 3, 1 in 4 na insufficient load. That seems to be a much bigger problem than the 2% failure rate in the RFID sticker. Are we hearing that correctly? And are we therefore attributing the log jam at the toll gates more to yung issue of load?
Well, you can say that, Roby, but you know, it's as I said, both NLEX and the customers are learning because we have grown from 30% RFID to about 85-90%. So people are not yet over the transition.
Okay, so how are we addressing the two issues? First, the defective RFID stickers, for example. First of all, how do you isolate the ones in terms of whether it's just defective or it's wrong placement? Paano nyo nalalaman yun? And how will you address those? More importantly, will you be telling the riding public to go back in line and have new stickers installed? Paano ang process?
The system allows to be able to identify the customers that have problems. So if they pass through the toll lanes twice or thrice and they have problems, then we already identify them as having this problem. So we call out, we reach out to them and we tell them, why don't you have your sticker replaced? No? But the responsibility is also for the customer. If you are experiencing, these problems, pwede mo nang pag-isipan na baka may problema yung aking sticker, and then you approach NLEX and NLEX will readily replace the stickers.
Pero sir, nireklamo rin po ni Mayor Gatchalian, at least according to him, sirain daw po yung mga sensors, at least dun sa Valenzuela side of the NLEX. Now, I don't know what his basis for saying that is, pero have you been able to check your sensors, not just the stickers, pero the sensors themselves, and whether they work as according plan?
Yes, there are occasional glitches, Ed. No? And, well, it is important to mention that we have undertaken this monitoring system. And since December 1, and even before, the deadline, we have been introducing improvements. One improvement that we have done is that we have employed a so-called program that we call advanced reading of the RFID tags. So what we have done is we have advanced the sensors 10 meters from their original position, so that even if you are still far from the gates, it will already open. So we call that our advanced reading adjustment. And we have also adjusted the actual system itself, the software, so that it can read faster the tags, the stickers. So it's consistent monitoring. We're upgrading to improve the system, and it will come a time that it will be close to perfect. By the way, I would just like to mention that in terms of we can conclude that if your sticker has no problem and you don't have a problem with the bid loads, no, the reading rate of our system is about 98%.
Now, in the meantime, sir, what is the status of the relationship with Valenzuela City and the status of your business permit? And what exactly does the mayor mean when he says na it has to be fixed, it has to be addressed? What does addressed mean? Kailangan tapos na lahat ng problema?
We will have to find out because we have already reached out, and there's going to be a meeting that will be held. And my letter yesterday states that these are the things that have been discovered, and these are the things that we are doing. So we have submitted to him an action plan. No, these are the problems and the actions that we will be doing. And hopefully in that meeting that is being set, we will be able to explain to him what we are doing, and there are also things that we will do in the near term to further improve the system.
How soon do you think you can reach a point where this logjam does not happen again, and that it will be satisfactory for the riding public and for Mayor Gatchalian, who has suspended at least a collection of toll in his area? How long do you think you'll be able to implement that action plan?
Well, the action plans are in play right now, Luigi.
Already?
Implementing. And there are already improvements that are experienced. If you remember, maybe the public has already forgotten that our traffic situation in the expressway, when the toll transaction is 70-30, meaning 70% cash and 30% RFID. The traffic at that point was really unbearable. No? But now, this, even in this time of the year, when Christmas is already near, you will see that congestion is not anymore a perennial problem. No. At the moment, I'm here in the traffic control room of NLEX, and I'm seeing in the video wall of our because we can see the entire expressway from this vantage point. No? And in the toll plazas, there are no congestion at the moment.
Okay, so you're saying that there was no basis for traffic, pero sir, medyo ma-traffic nga nung December 1, and especially that first week of implementation. Are you saying that there were no grounds to say that the traffic then, the congestion was abnormally high?
There was congestion, Luigi, on December 1 during the first day. And we acknowledged that there was a problem at that point, no, especially in Bukawi. No, this is the Bukawi toll barrier, one of the major toll barrier. We're going to Manila, so that's southbound. So there was a long queue, and we acknowledged that there was a problem. And but since we are mindful, of all these glitches and all of these operational issues that we are encountering, we are slowly, but surely addressing all of them.
Pero sir, moving forward, sir, do you see any need to ask for an extension of the deadline for the implementation of the full cashless system? Given the volumes concerned, kasi we have talked to several other people, and they have noted na talagang maraming vehicles na kailangan magpa-sticker, and that does add to the congestion. If not dun sa tollways, dun po sa mga stickering areas.
That's right. And,
Sir?
Parang nag-hang.
I think we lost him.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
We lost him. Yeah.
Okay,
So
we're
try
going to
bring him
try
back.
to, yeah.
hear me now?
Oh, there. Yeah, there he is.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, Sorry, sir, we
Okay,
lost
okay.
you for a while. Could you repeat what you said, sir?
Yeah, during the start of the program in August when we were created, there were about 400 to 500 RFID stickers, no, in NLEX. But since August, we have already installed about 1 million stickers, no. So you can imagine from about 500 plus another 1 million, 1.5 million stickers. So there's a big base now of RFID subscribers. So and from our records, we can see that we estimate that there will still be around 150,000 that remains to be installed in NLEX.
Do you see this actually being fully implemented by January 11, which is as of now the deadline for full implementation of the cashless system?
Yeah, we will have to get the cooperation of the customers that they be installed with the stickers. As I said, there are 150,000 more that needs to be installed, and we are
So kaya naman.
we are ready to accommodate all of them because we have already increased the number of reloading sites that we have. We have reloading sites in our customer service centers. We have reloading sites in the toll service facilities. These are the gasoline stations. And there are reloading installation sites also in of our toll plazas.
So hindi ba pwedeng online yan? Hindi ba pwedeng online na lang ang reloading? Tsaka para na-check din easily kung magkano na ba yung load, especially for those of us who don't really pass that way very often, no? Kasi ang dami ko rin kilala, sir, na parang hindi nila alam kung magkano na nga ba yung load ng kanilang mga RFID. Is there a way to make this as easy as possible to, retrieve this information?
Yeah, it's actually online, Luigi. 7-Eleven, you can do it there. Touch Pay, Smart Money, Easy Pay, buy it centers, all of those things. And you can also roll, with the bank so that it's done debit, and then I guess the good news is that by next year, we would like to be able to implement already a reloading on air, they call it, no? Reloading
Yes.
and that is through PayMaya and through Smart.
Yes, actually, so that we won't have to physically go to a certain place just to reload. I think that's what customers really look doing.
So just about something that you said earlier, para lang ma-manage din yung expectations ng mga tao because they might not know if you're saying na ito na to, mukhang ayos na. But you said earlier at this moment and over the past few hours that you've been monitoring and from what you could see over there at the control center, mukhang maayos naman yung daloy ngayon ng sa NLEX at all the gates. Just to manage people's expectations, yung pong flow ngayon, is that a function of things having been fixed even in this mitigating period, or is that precisely a function of the gates being open in Valenzuela without you being able to charge motorists?
I'm not saying, Roby, that it's perfect now. What I said here is that we acknowledge that there are glitches, and we are addressing the glitches, no? And it's only the 8th day of the implementation, so we're also transitioning and we're learning. And in fact, I will say today that as we speak, we have already engaged an independent audit, of the system, so that we have like an independent eye to be able to tell us, these are the things that you needed to do because these are the things that are not perfect in the system.
Sir, what
There's
about
a
yung...
proposal by Speaker Lord Alan
Yeah.
Velasco to extend the deadline to March 31. That's more than 3.5 months from now. Do you see the necessity for that?
If we will be instructed to do that, we will comply, Ed. No? That will give more room for the operators like us and for the customers to adjust.
Pero po, do you see the need for that? I mean, is that something that you think is necessary, or do you think that is something that is unnecessary?
Well, it will help, no? To be honest about it, it will help because, as I said, this is a joint, partnership between us and the customers. So it will give more time for us to transition.
Okay. Now, sir,
Sir,
quickly lang,
interoperability is now also being proposed, no? And in fact, really, the riding public is looking forward to a time when there's just going to be one RFID sticker for all the expressways. I understand from last night's interview with Attorney Kimbo that there have been tests done to test whether easy trip can go through auto sweep and vice versa. Can you update us on that, and how soon can that perfect system actually be reached?
That's a good question, Luigi. If you remember, maybe we have already forgotten. Sometime in when was that? September 2017. No? We signed a memorandum of agreement, and this is a memorandum of agreement amongst the toll road concessionaires and operators. And that memorandum of agreement does is to require the concessionaires and the operators to interoperate, no? To
Yes.
make the system interoperable. Meaning,
Sir, tagal na nga nun, sir. Ano nangyari doon? Yeah.
so meaning you will have one account and one sticker to allow you to travel on all of the expressway. So that's September 2017, and I would like to tell you, Luigi, and you can check this. No, by December of that same year, 2017, in NLEX and all the other expressway managed by Metro Pacific Tollways, we have already configured our system to be able to read the stickers of the other toll roads.
Oh, okay. All right. And so why can't it be done? Is it now a question of the other toll operators being able to configure theirs to easy trip? Is that it?
Yes. So the good news, Luigi, is as you mentioned earlier, there's already been a testing protocol that was agreed, and it will be testing, the acceptability of the NLEX system or the Metro Pacific system in the other toll roads. As I said earlier, the other toll roads, the system, we're already accepting it. No, we are already able to read it. But what this test will do is to be able to test whether our system can be read in their system.
So is that part of the test moving forward?
Yes.
I mean, do we expect, okay. So
Yes.
how soon will we be able to make this possible, the interoperability?
The testing protocol has already been agreed. So it's just a question of implementing it. They've already identified so many vehicles that will be tested. What are the plazas that will be tested, and then how many iteration will be made. So that will already happen in the next few weeks, Luigi. So there's
That'd be great.
Sir, detalye lang, maybe by way of empowering also our listeners and the motorists, two factors that that has been mentioned both by Attorney Kimbo yesterday and by you, yung sa RFID, yung pagkabit nung sticker, and then yung load. Now, yung sa load, that's within the control of people, maybe getting educated on how to load the different ways. That gives them some options, that gives them some sense of control. Yung RFID sticker, we assumed before na wala kaming control doon because you get to the station, you ask it to install, tatanungin ka, gusto mo ba dun sa ilaw o gusto mo ba sa windshield, and then our role there is done. But may mga nabanggit si Attorney Kimbo and you touched upon it a bit as well, that some of the things you're learning, the do's and don'ts sa pagkabit. Maybe you could mention some specific reminders that our motorists can actively watch out for pagka kinakabit yung RFID nila. What are the do's and don'ts pagka kinakabit yung RFID sticker?
First of all, yung RFID sticker, we will test it, If it can be attached to the headlights, we will test whether it's working. If the customer wants it to be attached to the windshield, we will also make sure that we test it, So once it is already attached, if it's in the headlamp, for example, you will have to take care of it because when you clean the car, since it is exposed, so you make sure that you don't unnecessarily damage it.
So, may nabanggit po kayong mga metallic na na iwasan, ilapit sa metallic. I mean, where in the car might people or the people installing it make that mistake?
No, if it's already tested that it cannot be placed in near a metallic surface, hindi namin nilalagay. Hindi namin
So
nilalagay.
in other words, tokan nyo yung pag-sticker di ba? Hindi naman yun yung driver namin or kami, no? Kayo, sa inyo yun, sir, So,
that's precisely why I asked, because I got the impression yesterday from Attorney Kimbo that with this entire issue with Valenzuela, that was one of the factors. I mean, not overwhelming in numbers, but that was one of the factors that was supposedly being discovered na some were improperly installed.
That's right. That's a fair comment. So there are cases really that we found out that if the sticker is placed near a metallic surface, it may not be read. So there might be occasions where our installer might have placed it wrongly, But most of the time we test it. So it will not be a problem at the end of the day.
all right.
Okay.
Okay.
NLEX Corporation President Luigi Bautista, sir, maraming salamat po for joining us tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe just as a final statement, we would like to believe that the integrity of our system is there, and we're able to demonstrate this if it's going to be visited or tested, including the accuracy of our sensors.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Salamat po.
And
Salamat,
we
sir.
will just go into a group, so please stay with us.
Welcome back, Lachis. We're now in the final stage of our conversation. With us is Department of Labor and Employment Assistant Secretary Dominique Tutay. Good evening, Asec.
Good evening, and to all the televiewers.
Ma'am, maybe let's have a situationer sa ating mga workers. NEDA says mukhang nag-improve naman. We've been in reopening the economy mode for a number of weeks already. Now they're saying it's now at 8.7%. We remember sometime in the middle of the year, it was at around 17, almost 18% unemployment rate. Kamusta po ngayon ang unemployment?
That's right po, nag-improve po ng kaunti ang ating unemployment rate if you compare that with the July round labor force survey, which is at 10%, and that's equivalent to about 4 million Filipinos unemployed. But that's a big improvement already from where we started at the height of the pandemic po. Noong April round of the labor force survey, where you said it right, that's 17.7% unemployment rate, and that is equivalent to about 7.3 million Filipinos unemployed. So now we're down to 3.8 million Filipinos unemployed at a rate of 8.7%.
If you
Anong
compare
sector po
on
yung-
either side of that, yes, both which sectors are leading in recovering and which are laggards?
Okay, in terms of the sectors that we are looking at winning this COVID-19 pandemic, that's more of the health-related sectors and, of course, public services. But in terms of net employment loss, if you talk about the average for the year, then you would have the transport and logistics. You also have accommodation and food service, which are both to us tourism-related. And then you also have arts, entertainment, recreation, and the wholesale and retail trade. So these are this make up most of the services where we lost about 2.2 million net employment loss if we compare 2020 versus 2019 labor force survey rounds.
Pero ito sa mga urban areas lang ba to? What about in the provinces? Which particular labor sectors really suffered? Agriculture siguro po, no?
Yung agri po, medyo bumawi po tayo this year in a pandemic situation because in terms of yung food production po natin ay okay yan. Actually, agriculture nga lang yung nag-gain if you compare that with industry and services.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's good to hear. So,
Yes.
okay. But you don't count as labor farmers, do you? You don't?
We do.
Yun, no?
That's both
So-
agriculture and fishing and aquaculture. So that makes up
okay.
your agri sector.
Pero
So, hindi sila
geographically, ano po yung worst
affected
hit?
nung, yeah. Go, yeah.
Geographically po, which regions or provinces are the worst hit?
Well, it's
And which
the
have recovered?
national. It's actually the national capital region that's hardest hit because national capital region would account for about 30 to 35% of the entire workforce of the country, and then you would have regions 4A or the
4A,
Calabar
Calabarzon.
zone, and also region 3.
In that order po, in that order.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, what about
if
if you take if you look beyond the Philippines, yung OFW sector naman po na napakahalaga rin sa atin. Ano po yung itsura ng ating OFW sector?
Well, about 500 to 600 overseas Filipino workers have been affected, and it might increase until the end of this year. We're looking at around 700 at the most, but hopefully it will not reach that big. So far, those who have...
You mean 1,000, no? You mean 1,000?
Sorry, 700.
700,000. Sorry. Those who have returned to the country from our data is like May until now, it's about 350,000 who have already been repatriated, but there are over 100,000 more in overseas posts that have not been repatriated or have decided to stay on site.
Sino mga workers yan, ma'am? Sino mga workers yan? Are they workers from the Middle East, halimbawa? Were they working in Europe? Where were they working prior to the pandemic?
Most of them are from the Middle East because bulk of our overseas Filipino workers also work in the Middle East. And if you look at the profile of those who have returned, most of them also are domestic workers. And there are a certain percentage of professionals, medical workers, and technicians.
So hindi pa rin ililift yung ban on nurses abroad? Limited pa rin yun? Restricted pa rin, no?
I think may quota po na binigay ang ating kalihim Bebot Bello on kung ilan lamang po yung palalabasin sa ating mga health workers.
Yeah.
Okay.
We still with Labor Assistant Secretary Dominique Tutay. Sorry ma'am, we have to introduce you again kasi may portion po na nakap doon sa pag-intro sa inyo eh. Hindi nakita
Okay
ng lahat
po.
eh. Anyway po. Ma'am, if you don't mind, do we have a prognosis for the first quarter of next year already as far as the labor sector is concerned?
Okay, we're hoping that we will improve a bit. I would also always say slowly but surely. But of course, sana wala pong kalamidad na mangyari on the first quarter because if you notice po, if you recall, January pa lang this year, pumutok na po yung Taal volcano and that itself, malaking ano po yun eh, malaking impact na po sa atin.
Yes, ma'am.
And then biglang
Usual naman yun.
sumunod ng COVID.
Usual man yun. It's
Yeah, I
like
know,
the
it's
typhoon
unusual.
season that comes every June.
Yeah.
Bagyo ang mas ano eh.
Totoo po. Business will start to recover but very slow ang tingin po namin kasi sa ngayon ang dami pa rin pong mga temporarily closed. It's been 9 months and it's not easy that if you're closed for 9 months you don't have any income at all. If in case you opened up say 50% of those businesses who temporarily closed and then open and you don't have much of the 100% of the consumers that you enjoy prior to COVID. So there's really a lot of adjustments now among the businesses and of course also in the labor market, including our workers who needs also to transition, say, from one job to another or from one role to another.
In the meantime po, kamusta naman po yung mga assistance that's been extended to our workers, especially during COVID? There's a lot of concern about cash aid being budgeted pagkatapos hindi rin na distribute. Kamusta po specifically when it comes to DOLE programs to provide cash assistance to displaced workers?
Opo, under the Bayanihan 2 Bayanihan to Recover as one, or we call it Bayanihan 2, DOLE has 13 billion for its camp to pad and AKAP. So that's for the formal sector, informal sector workers, and overseas Filipino workers. We have already downloaded most of this 13 billion to our regional offices who are implementing these programs. And as of today, as we celebrate the 87th anniversary of the Department of Labor and Employment, we look at our data and we were able to reach about 800,000 workers already since November 3 up to now. And we would still be reaching more because our target is about 1.4 million workers nationwide, and including our overseas Filipino workers. So hopefully we will be able to reach our target.
Yeah. If you don't mind po, what does downloaded to the regional offices mean? Does that mean umabot na dun sa workers or naipasa pa lang sa regional offices?
Naipasa na po yung pera, yung cash sa atin pong mga regional offices, and for the 800,000 workers that I mentioned earlier have already benefited from that 13 billion funds that the DOLE has.
Magkano na nga po ba yan? Ano na yan? Yung sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Robbie.
Yeah, just to clarify quickly, yung 800,000 beneficiaries na naabot na, that represents what percentage of the target?
If we target 1.4, then we're halfway or even a little over 50% of our target already.
So a little more than 50% ang
Yes.
nakaano na, which still means a little less than 50%, notwithstanding 90% having been downloaded to the regional offices. Tama po ba?
Our target would be 1.4 million workers, and we already reached 800,000 workers. So that will leave
that's
us
more
about
than 50.
600. That's more than 50, a little over 50% of the targeted number of workers to benefit from the Bayanihan 2.
Actually, ang dami niyan no? Merong tupad, tapos merong akap, di ba?
Yes.
Tapos merong pang campaign.
Camp.
Pero
Camp.
yung akap pala, camp.
Campaign
Pero
political party.
magkano, mali. Yung camp, ma'am, yung camp, ma'am, para saan yun? Sa mga
Okay.
MSMEs ba yun? Di ba parang may ganun eh? Tapos
Yes,
yung
yes.
AKAP para sa OFW. Pero
OFW.
magkano yun exactly? Iba-iba pa ba yung yung benefit doon, yung ayuda? Magkano?
Yes, tama
Tupad,
po.
sa tupad. Yeah.
Yes po. For the COVID Adjustment Measures Program or CAMP, this is one-time financial assistance for workers in the formal sector. So ito po yung may mga employer-employee relationship. And the assistance would be about 5,000 pesos per worker. So regardless of what region you are in, you will receive 5,000 pesos. For the TUPAD, which is the emergency employment for workers in the informal sector, this is equivalent to the number of days that you work times the prevailing minimum wage in the region. And the rate would be between 5,000 to 8,000. So for instance, in the National Capital Region, beneficiaries under TUPAD will be receiving maximum of 8,000 pesos. So that's about, say, 14 days of work or less. And then in some other regions where the regional minimum wage is lower, then they will go to work for, say, 17 days or 18 days just to meet the 5,000 pesos minimum. For the AKAP, which is for our OFWs, it would be given 10,000 pesos.
Okay. Pero pagka kunyari yung household nakatanggap na nung sa DSWD, makakatanggap pa rin sila kung merong isang member of the family na laborer na nawalan. So pwedeng 8,000 plus 5,000 from TUPAD, pwede yun. Ganun ba yun?
Strictly speaking po, under Bayanihan 1, hindi po pwedeng magdoble yung ayuda na binibigay. But in the Bayanihan 2, wala pong restriction na kapag ikaw ay nakatanggap na po ng ayuda from Bayanihan 1, hindi ka na pwedeng tumanggap under Bayanihan 2. The only limitation is for those who have been benefited by the Small Business Wage Subsidy Program of DOF and SSS, and also those receiving unemployment benefits, because the unemployment benefits would be equivalent to about 20,000 pesos, while the SBWS is equivalent to about 16,000 pesos. So malaki po yung natanggap kasi nila noon. So kaya hindi na po sila kasama sa bayan.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So what? Yeah.
Keep us in good.
What about I'm just worrying kasi syempre
I think we lost Luigi.
Yeah, we lose her.
And we didn't quite catch her final question.
Okay. I guess that's it. I don't know if she's going to be able to come back, but we do have to close po because we are almost out of time. So maraming salamat po. Labor Assistant Secretary Dominique Tutay, thank you ma'am for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much po and good evening.
Salamat po.
Luci's not yet back. I suppose we should close the show. Yeah, because we're running out of time. That will be all for this Tuesday edition of the Chiefs. We hope what was discussed here will keep the conversation going. I'm Edling of One News.
I'm Robbie Alampay, and we are One News.